I got a new guitar. This is my new baby. This is a 1999 Jackson Surfcaster SC1. So this is a made in Japan Surfcaster from the 90s. These are really hard to find. I actually had to dig pretty aggressively to find this. I actually searched across, this is not a joke, the entire US. So the band that I was playing with for a couple years, Living Dead Girl, we would tour across most of the US, and throughout every tour that I did, I would be on the hunt for one of these guys. And occasionally they'd pop up, but they would just be way too expensive, or they would pop up and be in bad shape, or they'd be a slightly different model of Surfcaster. But the SC1, which was kind of the more premium of the lineup of Surfcasters, very hard to find, but I eventually did, and it was in Massachusetts from a buyer on Marketplace. Moral of the story is, the hunt is over, and I have finally found one of these. Now, the Surfcaster was initially a Charvel model. Jackson bought Charvel in the late 70s, but Charvel had a bit broader of a scope as far as genre. It wasn't just metal like Jackson was. But then when both of those brands got sold together, they started to kind of merge some of the models between the two brands. That's why you see like the DK24 in the Charvel lineup now, or the Surfcaster in the Jackson lineup in the 90s. Now, where I think this is really cool and interesting is if you look at this guitar, there's a lot of non-Jackson kind of trademarks here. There's a lot of things you wouldn't typically see on a Jackson today or even prior to this. For example, you have a humbucker in the bridge, typical, Duncan designed, pretty typical, but this is a lot lighter output. This is more PAFE than typical for Jackson. And you have a lipstick single coil in the neck. Semi-hollow body, tiny headstock, very atypical for Jackson. This guitar was not meant to sound metal at all, but if you brute force it and you kind of just play metal with it anyway, it ends up sounding pretty unique. The lower output means you're going to have to push that amp a little bit harder, but you get a lot of mid-range, which I find interesting, and a lot of aggression. Because you have to pick a little bit harder, so it kind of forces you to play a little bit differently, and it's a pretty unique sound that I really like. Now, another cool thing, because this is not a metal guitar, some of the metal features that they did add make this feel really like nothing else, to be honest. For example, this 24 frets up here, well, 23 and a half frets. You won't find this on a lot of other kind of surf rock guitars like this. Very interesting. Super good playability. The neck is very thin. It feels very Jackson. If you've played a 90s Japanese Jackson, this feels like every other 90s Japanese Jackson. Very fast and comfortable. Doesn't feel like some thin necks do, where you kind of get crampy in your thumb. I find that if it's too thin and it's not ergonomic enough, I find that I can cramp up a little bit here because of the way that I have to hold my hand with that air gap. This doesn't really have that. This is why I like Jacksons. They just work really well for my hand. Your mileage may vary, but this definitely fits in the world of Jackson pretty comfortably. And if you're comfortable playing those guitars, you'll fit right in with this one. Now, there's a super inconveniently timed British elephant in the room named Lee Malia and his re-release of the Surfcaster. Not a week after I got this guitar did Jackson re-release the Surfcaster in a 6 and 7 string format with the X series, and very shortly after that, Lee Malia's signature model. I thought it was going to be the only one with one of these. It is still very different than the one that they re-released with Lee Malia, and it's even more different than the ones that they released in the X series. That being said, the Surfcaster did lose a little bit of the specialness in the guitar market. Bummer. But ultimately, this guitar is still super special. It is very, very rare, and it is very, very cool, and it is one that I will never let go of. It also happens to be my fiance's favorite guitar in my collection. Now I can't let it go. Now, should you get one of these guitars? If you like the vibe, you like the sound, you like the look of it, I think it's a great guitar. I think if you can get it around $1,500, I think it's worth every one of those $1,500. It's super high quality. You can tell that they cared a lot about this instrument when they put it together. If you can find it around $1,500 Canadian, whatever that ends up being in US and pounds, I think that's the right price. People typically ask between $2,000 and $2,500. Find it for $1,500 Canadian, jump on it. I don't anticipate I'll take it out on the road just because it's really special, but you'll see it in videos. My new band Black Flower, I actually used this in the video for the Surface. You can check it out here. But yeah, I hope you like it. See you guys in the next one. Bye.